All right, everyone, let's get started. Welcome to week 3. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so this week we will be talking about chatting and voicemail. So to quickly go over the agenda, we will be talking about texting, calling, voicemail, sending and receiving email, call safety, the assistants, which is Bixby and Google, and as well as some general settings. Does anybody have any questions about the agenda before we get started? We're all good? Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and begin with texting. So right here, let's see if I can get my pointer. Okay, I don't have my pointer today, but can you all see my cursor on the screen if I am circling the messages? Okay, cool. Okay, so our messages icon will look like this. It'll usually be yellow and have a little envelope on them, and that's your text message icon. So you would go ahead and start texting by tapping this icon. And then you're going to see this list here. So you're going to see a list of people that you've texted in the past, or this tab here is a list of your contacts. So to reply to a text that you've already been talking to someone in, you would click this open and you could reply from that point. And if you wanted to start a new message, that is located down here. It's going to have a little notepad and a pencil. And if you go ahead and click that, you're going to be met with this screen. Now up at the top, it's going to ask about a recipient. Now you can add in someone's phone number, or if you have them already listed in your contacts, you can type out their name. And so yeah, that's where you would put their name or their phone number. And then here where it says enter message, you would click this dialog box and your keyboard will appear. So if your keyboard is not visible at that time, you might have to click the dialog box that says enter message or begin typing to write your message. You can also add attachments to a text message using this little paperclip icon right next to enter message. So to attach a photo, you would click the paperclip and then it's going to ask you if you'd like to attach a photo or if you'd like to attach audio. So you can record yourself saying a message using the microphone icon, which will then send a voice message to the person that you're texting. It's similar to voicemail, except it's all through texting. Or you can add a picture, and it's going to ask you from your camera roll, and you will say yes, and then you can scroll through your camera roll and select whatever picture you would like to send to them. Now, anytime you would like to send your message, you can click the yellow send button right here where my cursor is. It might also have like a little arrow instead of a send button. That's what you would click to send your message. Does anybody have any questions about texting? And we'll go over more advanced texting next week. So we'll be talking about emojis and media GIFs and other attachments that you can send via text. And I will have you ask, if you guys have any questions, please unmute yourself and just ask your question. I can't see everybody right now. So
I do have one question. I'm sorry. Are you, I got on here late because I couldn't figure it out, but are you talking about, I have an Android. I mean, this doesn't look like my screen. And maybe I missed something in the beginning.
No, your screen can look somewhat different depending on the type of Android you have.
All right.
There's lots of different versions, you know, an LG or a Samsung are both considered Android products. So it might be a little different, but generally speaking, these are the steps that you would take, and the icons will look very similar.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. All right, so then we also have calling, and your calling button will be this green button with the phone icon. And if you click that button, you will bring up this page here. Now from here, you have a few different options at the bottom, right? So we have keypad, recents, contacts, and places. So your keypad will act as a standard phone where you can type in a number and then you would hit this green call button to make that call. So unlike traditional phones, as soon as you pick up, you hear the dial tone and you can enter your number and it immediately starts calling. On smart devices, you will enter the number and then hit the call button and it will start dialing. So it's similar but backwards a little. And then you also have this recents button. So the recents button shows you an entire list of your call log. It will show you every call that you've received and every call that you have gone as an outgoing call. So any person that you've called or any person that's called you. So if you wanted to scroll through your recents because you know that yesterday you received a phone call from the pharmacy and you weren't sure which one it was, or you just wanted to quickly find their phone number, you can go through your recents tab and look for the last time that they called you and call that way. So if you wanted to call from your recents tab, you would just go ahead and press the number that you're looking for, and then it will automatically start dialing.
I have a question, sorry. What if you want to get rid of all of this? Like I have so many, I don't want to go back that far. I'm going back from the time I got my phone.
Yeah, so if you wanted to, I know that this is an iPhone, but it should work very similarly to your Android. So either you will press and hold that phone number that you have that you want to get rid of, and then you could delete it that way, or you can click edit at the top here. It might be a little different on yours, and then you can, I have a whole bunch of little minus buttons. I can go through and start clicking the minus buttons for all of them I want to clear.
Well, mine has, like, I go to the 3 dots on the top right.
Yeah.
And I've got delete, show, hide. If delete, would that delete everything? Like I want to just keep the last 2 days.
Yeah, so you'll either, it depends on the phone that you have. So either it will have an option to delete all, or have an option to delete the selected phone numbers that you have. And that's going to take quite a bit of time to go through every single one that you want to delete if you're saying that it's from the beginning of when you got your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really, it's not a great setup, but
yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so then we also have down here next to recents, we have our contacts button, and that's a way that you can go and scroll through all of your contacts and then click the name that you would like to call. So instead of using the recent or having to type out their full phone number, you can search through their name through the contacts and click on their name to go ahead and give them a call. So does anybody have any questions about calling? Okay, so next we have voicemail. Now you can listen to your voicemails by tapping and holding the number 1 on your keypad from your call screen. So if you go to your call screen and you press and hold number 1, it should have a little kind of like a cassette tape icon here, symbol, and that will be your that'll be the symbol for your voicemail. And then when you set up your voicemail, it's going to prompt you to come up with a passcode. It's usually a 4-digit passcode, and you'll have to enter that passcode to access your voicemail every time. Of course, 9, if you're listening to a voicemail, 9 will be to save that voicemail. So if you wanted to save the voicemail, you would press 9. If you wanted to delete that voicemail, you were done with that voicemail, you would press 7. And it will, during the setup, you will also be asked to edit your personal greeting. So you can have a personal greeting with your own voice that says, "Hi, you've reached Alex. I'm not available right now. Please leave a message." Or you can have the standard greeting, which is just your phone number through an automated voice. So it's a computer voice saying your phone number. Now there's a couple upsides and downsides to each one. So if you're using your personal voice and you're using a personal message, people will know that it's you. Unfortunately, that means that, scam calls will also know that it's you. So if you wanted to just leave the automated message that's just your phone number and not your name, that's one way that you can protect your identity, I guess, when people are calling you. So yes, you can listen to your voicemails by tapping and holding the 1, and then you're going to want to set up your voicemail. The first time you call it, it's going to ask you to set up your voicemail. And then to save a message after you've listened to it, you can press 9, and then to delete a message, you would press 7. Any questions about voicemail? There is also a voicemail app. Samsung in particular has this icon that's a voicemail app. You can pay extra money to have your voicemails transcribed. So for a fee, you can have your voicemail app write out the person's message to you. So if you were hard of hearing, or if you couldn't understand the message, the computer will try to write out the message to the best of its ability. It's not 100% correct all the time because it is a computer and there's a little bit of errors. But as long as a person spoke clearly and loudly, it would be able to transcribe that message for you in text. So now we have email. So I am briefly going to touch upon sending and receiving emails, and we're going to talk about 2 email services in particular. So we're going to talk about Gmail and Yahoo. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video.
Who is Onision?
Can you guys hear that?
This is an ongoing investigation.
The best way to use Gmail with your G Suite account on your iOS device is to download the Gmail app from the App Store. Once you've installed it, you'll want to run the app.
So again, this is for iPhones, and I know that this is for iPhones. Typically speaking, your Samsung or Android device will automatically have Gmail downloaded onto it. This was just the best video I found describing how Gmail works.
the first time. Tap Sign In. Now, you'll be prompted for your email address for your Gmail account or your G Suite account. Type this here and tap Next.
And just to let you all know, in week 6, I believe, we will be making a Gmail account. I will be talking about how to make a Gmail account so that this will be a little bit more relevant so you can actually sign into your Gmail.
Double check your spelling. Now you'll be prompted for the password. Tap Next. You can tap Not Now.
Okay, so right here, he's going to tap Not Now to save this password. I would recommend saving the password. So anytime you make an account, or you log into an account, your phone will ask you if you would like it to remember this password for future use and to save that password. I would recommend doing that because sometimes I forget my passwords and then I get locked out, and your phone is so much, you know, it's so smart, it's great. So it is, it can save your passwords for you for the future. He is going to click Not Now, but I would recommend always saving that password.
I have two-step enabled.
So again, he has a two-step enabled Gmail account. When you set up your Gmail account, it's going to ask you if you would like two-step verification. Now, two-step verification is just an extra layer of privacy for your device. So anytime you log into Gmail, you're going to have to put in your email address and your password. Now, if somebody happened to get a hold of your email address and password, they could log into your Google account. With this two-step verification, it's going to send you a code to your smart device, and that way you can enter the code and be let into your account. Now, if a person has your email address and password, it really wouldn't matter because they don't have your phone to get this code.
For my G Suite account. So if you also have this, you may need to swap back to your text messages and get the two-step verification code to proceed. Just slide your finger at the top of the bezel of the phone to switch to the text message, and then double tap the home button to switch back to this window. I'll enter the code I got from the text message without the G. Now you'll see I'm signed in as Bailey at sastech.net. Using the Gmail app, you'll get to use all the G Suite features such as attaching files from Google Drive. Plus it's safer too because not all of the email is stored on the device, saving precious data storage. While reading any message,
So he's going to talk about reply and forward, but he doesn't differentiate between the two. So replying would be to respond to the email that was sent to you, but forwarding is a little different. So if you wanted to send this really cute dog to someone else, you would hit forward and then select a different recipient or add in a different email. Now the other person who originally sent you the email won't be notified that you forwarded the email to someone else. It's just a way to kind of pass along information.
you can reply or forward at the bottom of each message or in the menu of the email. If you want to sort the message, you can archive, trash, mark as unread, or sort from the menu at the top. and the back button will bring you back to the index of emails. You can also star a message and it'll put it in your starred folders for.
Yeah, so starring a message is a really good feature. It's a way that you can highlight a message or to save a message on email without having to scroll through all of your emails to find it. So when he goes back, there's going to be 3 lines in this corner. So right now it's on a specific email, but when you go back to the main email page, it's going to have 3 lines. And from there, you can look at your inbox, your sent, and your starred messages and your junk messages and trash as well. So your starred messages are messages that you want to save for future use, and you don't have to go through a million emails to find that message again.
Quick reference. Compose a message anytime by clicking the pencil icon at the lower right. The down arrow will have other 2 fields.
Okay, so we have a to field, we have a CC field, and we have a BCC field. So the to field will be to the recipient of your choosing. So you will enter their email, or if you already have them in your contact list, you would just enter their name. And then if you wanted to also send this email to someone else, you can CC them. So you can carbon copy them. This would allow the email to be sent to 2 people. Now, if you wanted to send it to Lee, but you also wanted to send it to Angie, but you didn't want everyone else to know Angie's email, you can blind carbon copy her. And that's in this BCC area. And that's just a way so that you can send the email to 2 different people, but the person who is blind carbon copied, you won't be able to see their email, so no one else will have access to that information. Does that make sense? Perfect.
And contacts come from contacts.google.com. You'll also be able to attach files from Google Drive. Just click the paperclip at the top to insert a file. Click OK to allow Gmail to access your camera roll. Like regular Apple Mail, you can attach camera roll, photos, or any recent attachments that are in your Gmail, or from Google Drive, where you can send a huge files, and you're not restricted to the limit of sending mail through email. You're only sending a link to the file. I'm going to attach a Drive file. And here I'm going to select a PST file, which normally would be too large to send through regular email. I'll select the More Options because the file needs to be shared from Google Drive first before I send it to the recipient. From here we can select our sharing options. If I want this to be only readable by the recipient, I'll select that. And then I can select permissions for that recipient. They can either view and comment, or view, comment, and edit.
So this information is really relevant if you have a Google Drive. So every time you make a Google account, you have access to Google's other features, such as Google Documents, which is similar to Microsoft Word. There is also Google Slides, which are similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. There's like a Google Spreadsheet, which is very similar to Excel. So you can, when you make a Google account, you have access to all of these different features. So if you wanted to type a document and you wanted to share it with someone else, usually Gmails have, or emails rather, have a limit to the size of the document that you can send in a single email. This is a way so that you can link the document from your Drive rather than sending the whole document itself, which might exceed the limit for an email.
I'm going to leave this to view only because it is an archive. Then when you're ready, push the send button at the top. Sending Drive files from your mobile device is quick and easy. The menu at the top will let you switch user accounts if you need to use Gmail for multiple profiles.
So right here, you have the list that I was talking about. So you can see your starred, your important items, your sent, your drafts, your emails, all your emails, and your spam. And then if you have another Gmail account, you can tie numerous Gmail accounts to that app, and you can switch by clicking this downward arrow. So if you had another Gmail account that you wanted to add to this, like a work one and then a personal one, you can add both and switch between the two.
Email for multiple profiles, or view all of the folders that are stored in your Gmail. Best of all, search is in Gmail. You can search all of your messages regardless of whether they're on the phone or not. Just type a couple keywords.
Yeah, so searching is a great way to type in a keyword for an email that you can't find. Maybe you didn't star or favorite it, but you need to go back and refer to that email. You can search using the magnifying glass symbol and type in a keyword that you know is in that email, and it will bring up all the emails with that keyword. Like it was saying, not all of your emails are on your phone. So because your phone is constantly storing that data for all of your emails, it won't go back. It'll only go back to a certain date on your phone. But if you wanted to search for an email, it would search through your entire email folder, I guess you can say, like the entire list of your emails. So similar to Gmail, we have Yahoo. And Yahoo, you would go ahead and download the app from your app store, either the Galaxy Store or the Google Play. Yes, the Google Play Store. And then you would tap the compose icon, which is very similar to the compose icon that we see here in Gmail, to create a message. And then in the top field, just like Gmail, and here, yes, so yes, you would go ahead and put their email address here, go ahead and put your subject line, type out your message, and then you would click send at the top right-hand corner of your screen. So a lot of emails have a really similar setup. So as long as you can kind of work one, it might be a little different from company to company, but for the most part, it's the same. So does anybody have any questions about email? Okay. So next we have Wi-Fi and call safety. So with your smart devices, I think it's really smart to think about them, your tablet and your phone, as mini computers. And I think that kind of helps put it into perspective regarding safety. So if you're using a computer, you know to be wary of certain websites and certain things on your computer that you wouldn't store because someone might have access to it. It's the same thing on your phone or your tablet. So again, be aware when using public Wi-Fi. A way that you can do that is by not logging into personal accounts such as your banking account, because then if somebody could hack your personal information. So if you're using a public Wi-Fi and you're entering that passcode, someone can see the passcode and log into your information without you knowing. you should always, I recommend password protecting your phone. It makes it a lot more difficult for someone to go through your phone or your device if it has a password protection. And we will talk about passwords, I believe in week 4 or week 5, about the different kinds. So, you know, we have a password, which are letters. We have a passcode, which are numbers. It's usually 4 to 6 numbers. We have a pattern that you can choose from. So your phone will have some dots lit up, and you can draw a pattern of your choosing, as well as facial and fingerprint recognition. So those are for the newer devices. They can lock and unlock your phone using your fingerprint or your face. And then just to be aware of scams, don't trust messages that you're not sure who the sender is. Do not click the links in unsolicited text messages. Those links could be a way for someone to access your information. And don't divulge personal information over the phone to someone who is not verified, right? Even in Facebook Messenger, there have been a lot of hacks where people go through your list of people in your family, and then they can send a message through Facebook Messenger asking for money. If anybody asks you for money through a text message or through a Facebook Messenger or anything like that, I would just recommend calling that person and seeing if that's really them, if they really do need the money, or if that's a scam somehow and they got hacked. Any questions about safety? Yeah, Kathleen? Oh, you're good? You're good. Perfect. Moving on. So next we have assistants, and I absolutely love assistants. They are amazing. So Bixby is the assistant that's on most Android and Samsung devices. So Bixby is a virtual assistant, and he can complete voice commands, including setting reminders, making phone calls, sending texts, asking about the weather, and Googling questions. So you would, to enable Bixby, you would go to your Galaxy settings under advanced features, and you would turn on Bixby. And Bixby is going to ask you to train them. So they will ask you a few different questions for you to repeat so that it learns your voice, so that it can better answer your questions in the future. Now, Bixby is a really, really good assistant, but we also have Google. And the Google Assistant is by far my favorite. I have found that Bixby sometimes doesn't always listen exactly to what I wanted, or their answer was incorrect, not what I was looking for. But the Google Assistant to me seems to be the best one. They usually respond to my question correctly. They understand what I'm asking. I don't know if you guys have an Alexa, but sometimes if you ask her a question and she just says something random, Google is a lot better about that. So you can ask it questions similar to Bixby, and all you have to do to set up on your device was touch and hold the home button after you go into your settings and say, hey, Google, and you want to make sure that that toggle is on in your settings, the Google settings. It'll be, when you click on your settings, it'll say Google, and then it'll say Google Assistant, and you want to toggle that on. And then you can go ahead and ask or say a command. So you can have it set a timer. You can ask a question to search for on the internet. You can ask about the weather. I mean, it's amazing. So any questions about assistance? Okay, we're gonna move on to basic settings. So here is a list of your settings. It should look something like this. If it's not exactly the same, it should be pretty similar. And at the top, we have connections. So it'll ask you about Wi-Fi. So either to turn Wi-Fi on or off, or to switch the Wi-Fi that you're connected to. So if you were connected to one Wi-Fi and you wanted to switch to another Wi-Fi account, you could do so here. It also talks about Bluetooth, so turning on and off or enabling your Bluetooth function on your device, as well as your data storage. So on your phone, you have a set amount of storage that your phone is able to keep for itself, right? So here it'll show you how much of that storage you've used. Most of my storage is used by pictures. I think I have over 1,000. So all of my storage usually goes to pictures. It might be for text messages. So if you ever have anything that pops up that says your data storage is getting close to the end or is full, you can delete some pictures or delete some text messages and kind of have that storage go down. We also have sounds and vibrations. So here you can pick the specific ringtone that you would like your phone to have. You can also select what kind of vibration it makes. There are some options for like no vibration, low vibration, a certain like waltz, you know, to make it seem like it's waltzing. It has like a heartbeat one that feels like a heartbeat. There's different vibration modes that you can set your device to. And you can also customize your volume. So what volume is your default volume setting is also under sounds and vibrations. So next we have notifications. So from here, you can block certain notifications from certain apps. You can prioritize certain applications from certain apps. So here, if you had a whole bunch, like I do, of notifications on your screen, the one that you prioritize will be at the top. And then we also have allowing notifications. So if you wanted to, if you had a application that sent you 1 million notifications every day and you found it really annoying to keep clearing it, you can disable notifications for that application. Again, we have display brightness and blue light filter. You can set your blue light filter to come on and off at a certain time, or you can have it turn on and off with sunset and sunrise. Lastly, we have lock screen. So there are, under lock screen, there is a lockout timer. If you've ever noticed that when your phone, if you're looking at something on your phone and then suddenly it goes black because you weren't paying attention to it for long enough and it locks you out, that's your lockout timer. So here you can set your lockout timer to be longer or shorter or never. I personally like to have mine on at least 5 minutes so that if I look down at my phone and then something distracts me and I look up, my phone isn't automatically locked and the screen didn't go dark. I prefer 5 minutes, but there's also a never time. There's like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute. And that's just something that I've noticed is quite annoying if I'm reading something on my phone and then it thinks I'm not like communicating with it and it just goes black and locks itself. So that's a way that you can extend that time period before it locks itself.
Now, Carolyn, I hate to interrupt, but this is something I've always had a problem with. So I don't know where to go to do that.
Yeah, so it'll be under your lock screen or your
Okay, I'm there. And I want to set it for like 5 or 10 minutes. And you're right, every time I go look at this and then it goes black and then someone hands it back to me. I'm like, oh my God. And that's something I really want to change.
So there should be something that says auto timer or screen time lockout. Or,
No, remember, I got the Android. Oh, here, screen lock type.
yes, that's the type. Okay, let me go ahead and turn on my Android device.
Oh, please do.
Yes, and we can see if it's under display or lock screen. I'm pretty sure it should be under lock screen, but it might be under display as well.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is something I really want now.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. This is probably one of the most frustrating
Oh,
things.
I frustrate everybody when I go, here, look, and then I give them the phone and I tell them they're touching buttons. They're not touching buttons. And it goes perfectly dark.
Yeah, it turns off right away. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have my device on. Let me let it load. Okay, perfect. Now if I go to settings.
And that's where I am, and I'm in the lock screen.
Okay. Okay, so go back to display then.
Go back to display.
Yeah, so if you go to your main settings page here.
All right, so let me go. I don't see that on the screen, but I went to settings. I'm in settings.
Yeah, and then you should see display.
Okay, display. Okay, I'm there.
And then when you scroll down display, you should, all the way down, you should see a screen timeout button right here.
Okay, if you're showing me, I don't see it on my screen. I mean, I don't see it on the screen that we're sharing.
Okay.
I see okay, I'm looking at my phone. I can't see it on my laptop, what you're showing, if you're showing me anything. But if I'm on my phone, I see, let's see, touch sensitivity, charging info, screensaver, navigation error, screen timeout.
Yes, there you go, right there. Perfect.
Okay, and it says 5 minutes. I
Yes.
guess, well, I guess I'm gonna go to the most I can go is 10 minutes.
Yes.
So if I tap it, the radio button highlights and then screen, and then that should do it, right?
That should do it.
Great. Oh, thank you so much. Ooh.
Of course. Yeah, I'm happy that worked out.
Yes, thank you.
All right, does anyone else have any other questions? All right, we look like we're good. All right, perfect. So if anybody else has any other questions that they want to stick around and ask me, other than that, this wraps up this week's lesson. I enjoyed your guys' participation and I appreciate it very much. And I will see you all next week.
Alex,
Yeah.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Alex. I missed the first class and I've been following your, second and third classes. However, when are you going to cover tablets?
So all of this information is congruent with your tablet or your smart phone. So your smartphone and your tablet operate very similarly. This information is congruent with both smart devices.
Oh, I see. I am learning from you and I'm enjoying it. Very interesting, but I wasn't sure. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
will you
of
be
course.
doing a repeat of these classes? Because there's going to be several that I'm going to be missing.
Yeah, if you are missing a class or if you have missed a class, there is a link in the chat that has our YouTube channel on it. All of these sessions have been recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and watch previous recordings or in the future, if you miss ones later on, you can always go back to the YouTube channel and watch them.
Oh, okay, that's good. Now, can I ask you another question about this phone, deleting phone numbers? I'm one of these that loves to keep everything clean. I'm too anal with this. And
Okay.
I was playing, and actually on the Android, you can press and hold it. And you can
Yeah.
press and hold a bunch of them, it'll check mark, and then you can just go hit delete. But
Yes.
what is your recommendation? I mean, do we have to, I mean, why would I keep all these numbers? I don't really care.
So if we're talking about recents and your recents tab on your phone,
Yeah.
so those ones automatically, I think after a set amount of time, they kind of start deleting them. It's just a way to show you your history of calls. If you
And
want,
that's fine, but I don't care. So maybe every week I should just go in and delete these.
yeah,
Does it delete, when you go in and delete, you know, like when you go in and you trash something, then you have to trash it again? Do you
yeah,
have to do that where, will it automatically delete?
yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So this is something I need to keep clean because I'm very anal.
Yeah, so if you didn't want to see those all the time, I would really recommend keeping up on it because otherwise you're going to be spending about an hour kind of clicking every number and deleting
Well, this
it.
is good to do when you're out in the sun, something to do, or on an airplane, you know, when you have nothing
Right.
to do, you know. But I mean, yeah, I mean, this is very interesting because I didn't even know there was a way to delete it.
Yeah.
But does this use up storage or space or anything?
So I do think that it technically takes a certain amount of storage for to have that call log available. Yes.
Oh, good. I don't want it. This is good. This is probably the highlight of what I learned today. I love this.
Well, I'm glad.
Yes, thank you.
Alex, this is Eileen. Do you have time for one more question?
Absolutely.
You talked about when we were sending emails, and you talked about the paper clip, that when we click the paper clip, we can add a picture or a attachment of some sort.
Yes.
You talked about most emails limiting the amount of pictures that you, or the amount of data or whatever pictures, I'm talking about pictures and or documents that you can send.
Yes.
Do I understand that you had to do Google Drive to be able to add more pictures? And I'm still not quite understanding. You've got Google. I'm not understanding what Google Drive is, or how to attach that or get it.
No, I totally understand. It's a little confusing. So basically what happens is when you make a Google account, you have access to a number of different features. And let me see if I can show you guys. So let me go ahead and log into my Google account.
I'm especially interested in, and I think maybe it is the sharing pictures with people and not having to do one at a time or whatever, if I could do a group.
Yeah, so typically speaking, your emails can send up to, I think it's like 10 pictures. But if you had more than that, if you had like 50 pictures and you didn't want to be sending like a whole bunch of emails, what happens is that you get, when you make a Google account, this is what happens when you're looking at your Gmail, right? And you see here how I have this Google Apps. This will show you everything that you have access to. So this is your Google Drive. And in your Drive, you can make a number of different documents. So we have Google Docs here, which is the same thing as Microsoft Word, Google Sheets, which is Excel, Google Slides, which is PowerPoint, and Google Forms. Now, if you wanted to upload a file, you could upload a file. So this would be like pictures. So if you had a whole bunch of pictures on your computer and you wanted to upload those pictures into your Google Drive here, you can create a folder and upload a bunch of pictures or a bunch of files into that folder. And then what happens is that you can, and I'm just for demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and create this. You can share this with other people. So let's make a Google Doc. And then here I have this share button, and I can share it to whatever email, or I can link this. So if I had a whole bunch of pictures instead of a Google document, I could copy this link. I could send it to my aunt and be like, hey, these are all the pictures from the wedding, like, you know, so that she can see through the link all the pictures rather than having to attach each and every picture that you have. So the Google Drive is very similar to the cloud. If any of you have heard about the cloud, it's it's just a way, it's an additional storage. It's an additional way to store information. And that comes with your Google account. So anytime you make a Google account, you have this storage, which is called your Drive. That you can store files or pictures or whatever you would like, and then you can send those pictures or those files and share them with whoever. Did that make sense?
Do you have to use Google Mail, Gmail, or can you use Yahoo or other forms of email?
So Google, this is a trait specific to Google. So the Google Drive is specific to Google itself. If you wanted to use Yahoo, you would just have to manually attach those pictures. Google is the only email platform that I know of that offers all of these different features, including the Drive.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Of course, and I hope I was, clear in my response. Again, I know that it's kind of confusing that you have access to all these different things and what they do exactly. So yeah, that's one way. And of course, it has your Google search, your Google Maps, your Play Store, your contacts, your calendar, Duo. This is all things that you can transfer. This information is really fluid, right? So you can have this information on your calendar events. That could be on your tablet, it could be on your phone, it could be on your laptop, because it's all under one account. All of that information will be congruent with one another, and you'll get that information no matter what device you're using because you're using an account. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for participating. I enjoyed it so much.